And now, please welcome our final award presenter, Deborah McWhinney, 2010 Aiming High honoree.
Well, good afternoon. I guess we're what do you call the cleanup? Yeah. So I have the great honor of introducing Jane Fraser. Jane and I got to know each other just a little over 3 years ago when I joined Citi and we began working together. At the time, Jane had just been named the CEO of the private bank. So she's dealing with people way up here, and I'm dealing with the people, you know, the mere mortals, as I called them. And we had an opportunity to work together and solve problems in ways that really put the clients first, which was what both of us felt was most important. When you ask Jane about herself and her career, obviously the first thing she says is she lives with 3 boys. 2 of them are her sons. She loves her husband. She's so proud of her children, and really truly considers one of her great successes in life is her ability to manage the priorities and do what she needs to do to be successful in her career and her community and still keep the family going. She attributes that largely to her sense of humor, so I'll ask her to comment on that. When Jane talks about herself, there's one word that comes up. She always mentions the fact that she's Scottish. So you have to kind of go with some of the stereotypes there. And you think, okay, well, does that mean she's a great golfer? She assures me she inherited none of the Scottish golfing genes. She is very conservative on money management, which you would want for someone heading up the private bank and dealing with people's money. With one transgression, shoes. The sky's the limit, and there is no budget. Shoes are a very important part for Jane. However, we were walking over yesterday, and we were commenting for the women of New York on how difficult it is to wear shoes that don't get stuck in the grates. But I guess London, it's easier. When you talk to the people that Jane works with, though, you get another sense of Jane. The first thing you get is that she has a wicked sense of humor. And that is absolutely true. In everything Jane does, she has even a tough message can be couched in a way that's presented so you can walk away feeling pretty good and understand what the message was still. She takes the time to help people, and people appreciate that. I can honestly attest to this, that no matter what time I would send her a BlackBerry message, Jane was on the other end answering the question or giving me advice or helping me solve the problem. And most often, quite frankly, in those first years, which were, let's be honest, the 2008, 2009, 2010 time in banking, of course, we haven't found the fun time yet, but nonetheless, those were particularly not fun times. Everything's relative. But it was just so great to have someone that was that kind of a partner. And for everybody, males and females, that is what it takes to be successful in business today, and we need to encourage that more. Jane's extraordinarily friendly. She obviously has helped make her and her team very successful in the private banking part of our company because of that. But the last thing that is probably the most important about Jane is her vision. When Jane thinks about vision, and I love this about her, she thinks a little bit longer term, and then she has a bias to action so that her team can get the decisions made and move on. And I share that with her, and I think it's such a great quality and certainly is what has enabled Jane to be successful. She told me that she had a mentor at McKinsey who she felt, sent her on the path of being what she is today, because he taught her to go from being a hardworking Scotswoman to being the front person and the leader and driver and team manager that she needed to succeed. Jane's a mentor to many, an inspiration to all, and I'm very honored to have her achieve the goals that she has and get the Aiming High Award representing Citibank. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, and also the co-chairs and the members of the Benefit Committee. It's truly wonderful to be here, and like all of the honorees today, we're very humbled to be here as we look around the room at those who have stood before us and the many friends and family who are here. Thank you. City's 200 years old this year. And it's a time when we've been reflecting a lot in the firm about our heritage and about the years ahead, what we need to have learned from the past and the strengths to pull on. And it's a time when I've also reflected quite a bit on my own heritage. As Debbie mentioned, I grew up in Scotland, and as anyone who knows Scotland would know, we're not that famous for our financial largesse. So, with a Scottish accountant as a father, one quickly learned that if you wanted any extra pocket money, you better go out and earn it. Luckily, I grew up in St Andrews, and there's a very famous golf course there. And so there used to be the fight amongst us local kids as to any American that was coming along that we could carry their clubs rather than some tight Scotsman and earn some extra pocket money that way. But my parents also taught me that given that you were going to be working hard all your life, that do something that's worthwhile, do something that you enjoy, and do it well. And I think that's been really wonderful advice that has certainly stood me in good stead. Now, if any of you have ever been to Scotland, you'll also know that it rains there, always. And behind every grey cloud is a silver lining. So for me, that's been, first of all, an utter delight on any day that is sunny. But it's also one that, like many Scots, we leave Scotland in search of sunnier climes. And so much of my life and my career has been spent both at McKinsey and now at Citi, travelling around the world. And it's been the most extraordinary education. Which brings me to America. The role I'm in, I spend literally time on the road, about 70% of the time. And like many of the women I meet and my clients, don't underestimate quite what an extraordinary role America plays for many women. Last week, I was in Mongolia, as one is, having lunch with a client. A few of the things on the plate were moving. He has never been outside of China. He's a self-made man and a miner. But his greatest pride was that his daughter is going to Yale. A few weeks before, I was in the Middle East talking to a client out in the desert where he was with his falcons. And he again said his greatest pride was the fact that his daughter was just about to graduate from a US medical college and become a doctor. A Venezuelan client 2 days ago in London who had to leave everything in Venezuela. They've rebuilt the business again now outside. And his daughter is just about to join one of the law firms here, just having graduated in the US. I too benefited from a graduate degree in the US. My sister-in-law, who's in the audience, and her family all came from Cuba and has the benefit of a US education in life. And I'm incredibly struck around the world how many of the women who, in my professional career, as well as looking at the children, the daughters of our clients, owe an awful lot to the States for the education, and quite how powerful that's going to be as a force going forward. When I'm in Riyadh each year, which I have to visit, and I'm not allowed to sit in the front seat, let alone drive the car because I'm a woman. When I'm not allowed to go into Starbucks to get my cup of coffee in the morning, which is a true catastrophe because I'm a woman, it makes me realize how fortunate we are to have had the privilege of an education in the States. The pleasure and the opportunities that are here. And I thank to many of the people in the room for those who've taken a chance on me, who've provided me the extraordinary feedback at some critical points in the career, sometimes to get my butt in line, and also to those that have provided access to opportunity. A very heartfelt thank you. I think there's an awful lot, as we've talked about today, about taking advantage of other opportunities, taking chances on other people as those have taken chances on us. But as always, to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Please welcome back